every day. I heard a lot, and welcome to that Survivalist News. What, huh? You can't hear me? Hang on, I might be wearing a few too many masks. Because you gotta wear at least 2 masks. Wait, hang on. It does make it hard to breathe. Yeah, I like it better with no mask, but seriously, they say wear 2 or 3 or 4 masks, but it is impossible to breathe. Yeah, what I was saying was Perrin Lovett here, and welcome back to another episode of the lightheaded, deoxygenated Prepper Post News, courtesy of Freedom Prepper and Freedom Roasters Coffee. It is the day after Valentine's Day. Happy belated Valentine's Day. We now find ourselves in, Monday, February 15th, 2021. Whew, that was really hard to breathe. Hey everybody, YouTube. I'm doing my part to fight the pandemic with all these masks. And that's our feature topic of the day, wear more masks. We've had this discussion before, but it's really important. Just keep driving at home. Hello everybody at the community, the webpage, and especially everybody listening to the podcast. You might want to watch the video before they take it down, because that was really awesome. By the way, this one, the tartan, my sweet mother made. She does a lot of sewing, and she wanted to help, so she made these masks. Much better than these crappy things. I didn't know which side you're supposed to wear. Is it the blue side, the white side? And oh look, cheap strap broke. And of course, the Black Panther mask is, I've worn that now 3 times, and to my knowledge, I've either been asymptomatic or I have not had coronavirus at all. So I think those really work. And by the way, on my way to Mombasa one time, I stopped at had a layover at the Wakanda airport. It was really great. I think they make some of these masks in Wakanda, and you need to wear at least 2. A mask simply is not good enough anymore. The CDC has issued guidelines in accordance with Dr. Tony Fauci, stating that the more masks you wear, the less, and it makes sense really. I mean, if you were to wear, a plastic bag sealed up over your head, nothing could make it in, including oxygen, and you would soon expire. But, do your part, wear 2 masks. It doesn't matter if you can't breathe. Or is it 2 or was it 20? At some point we will beat this. One day we'll get a vaccine, I trust. Take a look at that. It's a story from the Associated Press, which has been known to select certain, people for certain things. So, when Dr. Fauci and the AP are involved, it's the truth. Also with these masks, there's a doctor in Baltimore who's warning about something called maskne. It's like acne, but it comes from wearing a mask. Maybe it's the blue side or the white side. I don't know. But with this thing on your face, the oil, you start getting pimples. The same thing happens in your lung because of bacteria. And of course, if you're wearing 2 or 3 or 4, or sometimes even just 1, you're not going to be able to breathe. But don't worry about that. Just mask up forever. I've got some stories here about masking, diseases, vaccination, testing. If you want to travel, overseas from the United States, you might as well just forget about that. It's very difficult. They're working very hard to get the COVID passport, mark of the beast, up and running on your phone before they're going to put a little chip in your hand. Bill Gates, I think, is working on that. But really just forget about traveling. In fact, if Joe Biden, President of the United States, Joe Biden, has his way, you may not be able to travel between states. And then, eventually they'll just keep locking this down until you're stuck in your house. And you'll still need to wear the 2 masks and keep, I think it's 60 feet away from anybody else. So just stay in your house. No traveling, especially to places like Florida, where they've bucked the trend. Up in New York, a state with similar size population, they locked down. They put all of the sick people in with the old people. Governor Cuomo is ducking a lot of questions now about his conduct that may have, resulted in tens of thousands of dead old people. But, we've got a war to win. So Ron DeSantis in Florida has not been playing by the rules. Not that many old people have been dying down in Florida. So the White House is going to crack down and probably ban travel. How that will be accomplished, I don't know. We now have troops on the streets all over the place. Check this story out at McClatchy. Always good news coming out of the White House basement these days. I lost the story, and it was not important enough that I went back and looked for it. But Creepy Joe has allegedly he wants to bend the rules. You are not supposed to travel, and soon, hopefully, you will be completely banned from traveling. And anyone who is allowed into the United States must have the COVID passport, must get vaccinated, have a test, be quarantined, etc., wear 5 masks, stay in the basement 80 feet away from everybody else, but not illegal invaders or refugees, as they're called. They're exempt from the rules. This is a rumor, and I lost the story, but it's true because they're exempt from the rules anyway. All these people who come across the border illegally are necessarily exempting themselves from the rules, and rather than being punished, they're going to be made citizens. So hey, look, 25,000 of them are coming in right now, all at once, according to the AP. They don't need to be tested, vaccinated, or masked. Just open up your wallets and your hearts and let them on in. We don't have too much longer of this to put up with. Now, he's not wearing 2 that I can see, but good old Vice President Biden is wearing his mask, and he's going to keep wearing it through next year. To me, that means all the way through 12 months of 2022. 20, 21, 22. 3 years of masking, despite the fact that he wants to get something like, I lost that one too, 600 trillion doses of Pfizer, vaccine. That seems like overkill, and I'm sure a lot of people will be killed, but with all that medicine floating around, why keep wearing the mask? I guess he just really wants to be safe, and I trust that, he wears the cool black presidential mask, not unlike my Scottish tartan. He probably has the cheap medical thing underneath too. So he's doing his part. I've got a video. He was up there with the National Institute of Health or some con artist outfit with Dr. Fauci, and he was talking about, you can watch his words about how proud he is to hide his face through this year and next year. And he's getting on up there. So I sincerely hope he makes it the whole way through. And honestly, Joe, the next election is not until 2024, and I'm sure they're retooling the algorithms to handle that. But why not wear the mask? Why don't we just wear the mask forever? It is what it is. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember that? We just need 2 weeks. We're going to flatten the economy, and everything will be better. This has turned out. We're now a year into the longest 2 weeks in human history, but the wait has been worth it. The CDC has finally released their guidelines for things like reopening the government communist indoctrination centers, formerly can't even laugh about this stuff. They used to call these places schools. I was interred at one for quite a while. Some of them are open, some have not been open, some are quasi-open, online this day, in person that day. 12 feet apart, 9 masks. The kids are being tortured as usual, but worse. They got a plan to open everything back up, except it appears that it will not facilitate reopening schools, especially schools in areas where teachers' unions represent teachers who simply don't want to work. And I really can't blame them. If you're getting paid and you You can do the child torture from home via Zoom. Why not keep doing that? So really, if the schools don't reopen, that is probably one of the best things to come out of this war on common sense that we just can't escape from. And there was so many other things I wanted to talk about. I'll get to that. I was thinking about something. I'll get to that in a second. A couple of things, actually. The oxygen is back to my brain. I'm now thinking again. Just wear one. The Black Panther mask should do it. If you must mask up. People at Walmart and places like that really enjoy the comic book characters. We've got some characters here, not just crazy me. There's like I said, Friday we've got the lovely and talented Joyce, the lovely and talented Giovanna, and Scott and me. And we've got if you're on the community, freedompreppercommunity.com, and you really should be over there. Scott put up a new link. I've got a copy at freedomprepper.com. It's our little page at Buy Me a Coffee. I had never heard of this, and they wanted a picture. They were like, give us a picture, and I'm like, I don't really have pictures of my, just take a screenshot. But I sent in a picture, and there's a little collage of us, and you can buy us a coffee. It's like Patreon, but I checked the reviews. It's better than Patreon. Just a way to help us out. It's a really cute little picture of us with a coffee cup, helping to fund things like this show and the rest of the growing Freedom Prepper empire. It's cleverly run under the auspices of the coffee brewing. Alternatively, now you can just go to Freedom Roasters Coffee and buy some coffee. Help us out. All kind of new things are planned, and that's one of the things I was going to talk about. Preppers are known to be a little on the what's a nice euphemism for cheap side, on the cheap side, which is a good thing for us. But at some point, we don't want to be part of the cult of free, because that's just that's a gatekeeping function for places like those other free social media sites like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So pause for the cause, help us out, and don't render poor Perrin as some kind of e-beggar. Just buy the coffee. Buy a lot of coffee. Buy a whole pallet load. We got a machine that'll crank out like, I don't know, 180 pounds an hour. So we're ready. Load us up with orders. I got some rapid fire headlines here. I'm doing pretty good on time. CNBC reports that the federal budget, as it has been for the past generation, is totally wrecked. Looking at I think it's a $2.3 trillion budget deficit, and that's without factoring in the Joe's $2 trillion second or third or fourth wave of stimulus for the coronavirus economic collapse. That, as Dr. Roberts was telling us Friday, is probably going to be an off-books debt kind of thing. It's a deflationary trick pulled by the Federal Reserve. If we include all the the funny money off-books debt, then the U.S. the government's federal debt, which is like 24 or I forget how many tens of trillions it is now, it jumps up to some astronomical sum. And there's other ways, considering that they practically guarantee all of the things that the commercial banking gangsters do, including derivatives. That has not been tested, but I'm sure we will be put on the hook if and when the derivatives market collapses. We may exceed the trillion level, and after that you get the quadrillion. It's so ridiculous it doesn't even matter, but it makes for a funny headline. Not so funny, the Wall Street Journal reports, they want your guns. They want our guns, and they're never going to, people got complacent and happy after McDonnell and Heller. Those cases came out of the Supreme Court. I pointed out at the time those cases had a horrible little caveat that said subject to reasonable restrictions. Well, We're about to find out what these reasonable restrictions are. I have a feeling they won't be reasonable at all. But you know, along with the debt, at this point in history, that's not really something to worry about. Because I got a thought for you guys on the other side. We know you want our guns. Some of you have point blank said we're coming to take your guns. Well, hey, guess what? Two can play at that game. What if we came to get your guns? Possible. But don't worry about that now. Also, we had Project Veritas kicked off of Twitter. James O'Keefe told too much truth, too much Veritas, and he is veritably off of the Twitbird, which is a good thing. He shouldn't be there anyway. No civilized person should be on Twitter, Facebook, any of these communist spy sites. I had some Veritas news. Somebody is trying to put me in touch with. In fact, by the time you're watching this, I may have already spoken with Mr. O'Keefe about some things. More on that possibly later. We'll see how that works out. Also, I had the other thing too I was going to talk about. I'll try to sandwich it in here between these two final stories. Russia Today had a fun story about America that you won't read in the American press about my favorite pet subject from college, classics, the Greco-Roman tradition, one of the three pillars of Western civilization. Never forget that the evil retards of academia and Luciferians in general hate Western civilization with a white-hot burning passion. And now they're coming to destroy the classics departments at universities. They want Plato and Aristotle gone. No more Cicero. No more Cato. Just get it out. It's white supremacy. It will lead to an insurrection. What happened 2,000-3,000 years ago will destroy the present. That's why they've got to destroy it, ruin colleges completely, and render us into a primitive Stone Age, third world future. It's interesting that the guy who's raising the stink about this himself is a professor of classics at Princeton, and one wonders why. Now, if you've had anything to do with a college in the past 30 years, you understand these people are infiltrators, and with about two exceptions now, there's really no reason to pursue a liberal arts education in this country. Here's the final. Am I going to be able to sandwich in the other story? I'll try. The last word of the day is a name, Nimrata. I think it's Nimrata. Could be Nimrata. Rat, like those rodents scurrying around. Nimrata is, that's Nikki Haley's real first name. Nimrata Nikki Haley. She is a darling neocon of the fake right, the stupid party, aka the GOP. And Politico had an interesting article about her that ran Saturday or Friday. I can't remember which. I've got it linked up. The night before, I had been thinking, and on my blog, I put out, I have a hunch, just a hunch. The Republican Party 2024 not going to win, totally defeated and useless, and they should be defeated because they are useless. My hunch is they're going to pull Nikki Haley to run for president. And sure enough, the next day, maybe they read my blog, Politico runs a story about Nikki Haley wondering what she's going to do in 2024. Is she going to, and by the way, she is not going back to her nation. She's going to do what she can to destroy what's left of ours. And her quandary is, does that involve just being a Trump supporter? Being one of the neocons that perpetually goads him and everybody else to go to war? Or is she going to try to take over and do it herself as a presidential candidate? If she runs, Republicans are stupid enough to support her. And she is, given the new electoral system in this country, what's left of it, she is one of the few Republicans who could probably appease the deep state enough to, make a run. It would certainly be an interesting campaign of Kamala Harris versus Nimrata. Horrifying especially for people who, grew up in America. But, it is what it is. And here's the last. I'm not linking to anything here, but a friend of mine is a political gadfly in a medium-sized southern town, and he's just aghast at what's happened lately, locally, with his political scene. And he wrote an article, kind of a not an article of despair, but it's a shocked what's going on. And he asked, what did we do in God's good name? What did we do to deserve all of this? And all of this is outsider politicians that have taken over and are steadily destroying everything in his county and his town and his state, and his country too. But he ended with a rant. It was a rant. It was a heartfelt rant. I felt bad for him. I certainly know what he's talking about. There's a street light on a U.S. main drag highway downtown that's been out of order and nobody will fix it. And to answer his question, the long version is, well, if you read Isaiah and Deuteronomy, when certain people show up to rule over you, that's a sign you're being punished for doing something. So in God's good name, you obviously did something wrong. Specifically what it is, about, was it 43% of you didn't have enough children. So it is what it is. Interesting times ahead for us. I'll be back with more great headlines. Not going to be wearing a mask. I've only just now recovered from the feeling like I was going to faint. But I will note that I've not gotten, that I know of, the coronavirus in these 22 minutes I've been talking, thanks to all of this medical hardware that I was wearing. So do your part. We can win this war. Buy us a coffee. Check that link and just buy some coffee. That'll help more. And we've got more ahead. So check back tomorrow, Tuesday. Hope everybody had a wonderful, safe Valentine's Day, Saint Valentine's. So irritate them every time you can, poke them. It's Saint Valentine's Day, and next, we get, what is it? Saint Patrick's Day. It's not Patrick, it's Saint Patrick, Saint Valentine. All right, that's enough for today. Have a wonderful Monday, and I'll see you back tomorrow. God bless.